Howdy, y'all. Today is the second installment in the We Missed Our Exit series. This one's a little less hijinks and a little more on the instructive side, but this was a square pig build that just didn't want a square pig. Everything kind of went wrong. There were some weird choices made, but generally speaking, we decided to try to pivot ourselves into a property build that never was. We had an item that got enchanted twice and never made our board. It was a very strange run. Uh, it was a good example of having to keep changing your mind over and over again to make sure you're not only maintaining the best board state, but you have a vision for a plan that can still make it 10 days long. I think it's really instructive. It was a little on the stressful side, but the run still will teach you a lot about keeping your options open and making sure to reevaluate your board state. So I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please throw them in the comments section down below, and otherwise, enjoy the run. As always, if you are doing a serious run, it's the income for sure. The enchant is, we have very few items that are good with the enchant at all, and only a few enchants on those items that are good. It's just deeply inconsistent. Our skill pool is the most bloated skill pool in the game, and even if you happen to get and the worst skills in the game, and even if you happen to get a good skill, you then have no currency to put anything on your day 1, day 2 board. So you're going to fall off pretty hard. So Curio's great day 1. Truffles is a huge pickup. If we could just get a reward card in that, and especially if we can then get ourselves a ledger, Truffles becomes like the way that we can pivot into anything. Like it opens up value, property builds, all that kind of stuff as early as we get an enchant, basically. So Truffles is very, very strong, and as many Truffles as you can get because you can keep cycling the value from one to the other, keeping an unbroken stream of value building, and you want at least 2 in case you get ledger. Okay, we are just gonna put a weapon on our board, I guess. Is Trained Spider too slow to do anything at all? I mean, poison is poison, but I think that's not good. We're going to grab Bar of Gold because we might get something that gains value out of buying and selling things. Bar of Gold is one of the 3 always cycle items. So we can't take Viper. I think we go Kyber Drone, and you want a naked board for Kyber Drone. If you are doing very, very little damage, Kyber Drone theoretically can kill you, because when he slows, he adds damage to a weapon for the fight. And so if he adds the damage to Stinger, then he can slow his demise long enough to kill you if all of the damages land on. So if your board's naked, you automatically win. If it's not, he theoretically could kill you. I don't think that applies to Pig with our extra 50 hit points. I think it only applies to the other heroes, but it's still a good thing to keep in mind. Just against everything with wings, almost all the wasps and whatnot all lose to an empty board, so that's usually correct to do. It is Hatchet, Briefcase, and Bar of Gold. All 3 of them only at bronze and silver. When you buy them, you can sell them for the same amount that you bought them for. And so there's no downside to buying them at all. And we always have so many things that gain value when you buy and sell stuff, that it's just best to grab them, hold on to them, and see if you can make some use out of them. I would love, love, love to get a hammer to upgrade something good, but like we actually have to have something good to upgrade, and we need to build a board. And Bushel is pretty overpowered now. It's very strong, especially at silver. It is a really strong day 1 item. The other big item we could get from her we're looking for is Ganjo, because it's in combat scaling. They don't go great together, but those are the 2 like big standalone items that are our best board. I don't usually love re-rolling day 1, but the good thing is we now can kind of afford to do some day 1 re-rolls at 2, and middle generally has our best, We're going to grab weights because this is the beginning of our day 3 board. But we can't put weights in the fight because that's just not enough damage. So unironically, Boomerang is probably the most damage we can get on the board on day one. These two do not add up to anything. And we'll sell the bar of gold. We just grabbed it because it didn't hurt us to. This is pretty weak just because we have no damage. So I will stack a little bit more on there. Just the best board we can make on day one and day two. The reason we're not going weights is because does Isla have a chance to give us any combo of things that we would care about? I don't think so. I think we're just going to Isla to see if she's going to give us like something for later, which is she doesn't have Bronze Enchanted. At least I've never seen Bronze Enchanted. And so there's nothing we're going to grab that we're going to like use forever. I guess Jabalian Longbow would be a significant improvement over Boomerang. Yeah, okay. It's not enough to worth spending a reroll on, but it was worth looking. It was worth looking for that. Okay.
All my weapons have been tested in battle.
All right. So Dooley is unfortunate. He's pretty strong day one. Honestly, everyone's unfortunate except Pig. Pig is terribly weak day one. So we want the mirror match. We never get it. It's almost always Vanessa though, which is also usually unfortunate. We lose pretty hard to this. Unfortunately, we just can't pierce that much shield. We just don't have enough damage. So, oh well. Oh, hey there. For those of you who might be new to the stream, this is the Goose. This is for whom I get my namesake. Hi, Goosey. You gonna look at the camera? Hi, baby. No? Okay. She always stops by at least once a stream. Hi. Alrighty. Wait, we won that? I was not paying attention, but... Or no, that was... Yeah, we won that. Okay. Any of my long-timers, Jeff Nader, were you paying attention? Did you see what happened? Did he just not stack enough shield over our Boomerang damage to beat out... I mean, that's what had to happen. He didn't stack enough shield to beat out both our health advantage, and Bushel must have popped off at the right second. I was so convinced we lost that I just didn't even watch, which is shameful of me. I should be paying better attention. I'm sorry about that. You're both at negative on the same tick. Bushel save, I think. Oh my. Well, that is silly. We'll take it. Flail is pretty good. Is a pretty good vehicle for damage that's going to build up on weights. It's pretty weak if we don't upgrade weights, and probably also Bushel day one, so we're really going to look for our bronze vendor. But the other thing we have to do here, and this is kind of the meta. Luckily, we got ourselves truffles. So with truffles, we don't need to, pick up slingshot here. But you have to keep an eye out for your food, your toy, your friend, so that you can get the secret XP encounter from Tiny Furry Creature. You have to be able to take the big fight, which honestly, I don't think we do right now. So we really need a damage skill here. But we have to take Rogue Scrapper and we have to beat him. And then we have to get Tiny Furry Creature, or two, but we didn't have the possibility day one. In order to get the level 3 by the start of day 2. So the old, meta was day 1 XP rush to get your level. The new meta is kind of same thing, day 2 XP rush to get your level 3. So that's what we will be aiming for. Yeah, which means I possibly can't. All right, we're looking for a weapon. Let's figure out what this is before we do anything else.
Be the cheapest.
So I love Arms Dealer, and I think it was a big part of last run. It looks like 3 or 4 people have joined since we finished our last run. I am really sorry that you missed the triple bonk board. That that was a freaking blast, and a part of why that worked was because we had Arms Dealer and we were just cycling weapons the whole damn game, and our health pool got outrageous. The fight we won on day 13 was against a square pig board that was doing all the squares and all the pigs absolutely correctly, but he only got through like a third of our hit points before our really, really slow bonks got to bash him in the face. So this is a very powerful skill. It adds up over time. The question, I think the answer is we take it, but the question is, do we fish for weapon skill so that we know we can beat Rogue Scrapper? Because this board doesn't, and if we don't beat Rogue Scrapper, we're not going to fit ourselves into the larger board for the fight, and that kind of sucks. We got super lucky on our previous fight. The gods kind of let timing land to where we both died at the same time. So we could kind of afford to sacrifice this one. Pig plays differently than everybody else. We don't play for perfect 10-win runs. We play for day 13. Like, we are aiming to cash out by day 13. You should just be okay losing 3. Mainly because whether you win day 1 or not is not your choice. We are the weakest day 1 by a lot. If you get against a good Vanessa weapon or a good dually weapon board, there's no response to that. And so we just have to play with day 13 in mind. So we're okay losing this one to give ourselves the better advantage towards whatever options might be open to us. This also just opens up a lot of board possibilities. If I knew there was left-handed on the other side of that, so I knew I would win the fight, we might be talking differently right now. But I don't. So here we are. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money. So I also would just rather be able to play Boomerang on my board, so we aren't going to go for Scrapper either, because Boomerang has a better chance. We'll do the math in a second. There's a chance that wins. There's a chance. We're going to get an item to, get some currency. Hatchet, cool. Get back into this. Okay. Minor crisis averted. Not the worst thing that's happened to us. 2 nights ago, my entire internet, I think the whole block just lost internet at midnight for a little while. Okay, I think this is good to put some flat damage on there. We get the heal there. That's looking good. We're going to get Truffles over where I like it, and rethink about what our strategy was. So one of the hard things about Pig is that you're playing differently every single time.
Moving up in the world.
Thank you so much, man.
The Jacosaurus Rex has joined the Goose Mafia.
Also, can I just say that's an awesome name? That's an awesome name. Thanks so much, Jacosaurus. I don't see my XP bar. I'm going to move this up a little bit. There, now I can see it. Because I didn't know where I was in XP. We didn't get Tiny Furry Creature, so we're going to have to go for Mountain Pass here to try to get the encounter. It is actually, unfortunately, correct for us to take the free XP. I like getting the even more XP from the fight and the drops and the loot. But if we get Rogue Scrapper, we lose and we won't get it. And also there's a chance we just get an item here. So we're going to go into the Mountain Pass and we're going to take the XP, and I'm going to keep talking about what I was talking about. So we take the XP, and then I did the math wrong, didn't I? I totally did. We were not on pace for the thing without getting Tiny Furry Monster also. But I am a lucky bugger. Okay, we can't see the XP bar either. Now we can. Cool. Okay, so we got saved there. It turns out I I read this clock wrong all the time, and this clock actually doesn't always update the same time all the time. So I should have taken the fight because there was a chance that I wouldn't have gotten the level. And if I got any monster but the one I couldn't take, we would have gotten it. So anyway, so that was a mistake. We call out our mistakes. We don't just like, oh yeah, never mind, it didn't. So that we make sure that we don't make them the next time. But we're doing pretty good. I think we take the gold here. Loot items are pretty strong also. Actually, there's a very real chance we could get ourselves an upgrade hammer. And we didn't, but honestly, health is pretty good. Okay, so the question is, do we want... I think this is still more powerful than either of those, and I think this is just where we are in the fight. It's middle. It's mid for 2. We have in-combat scaling, which you just kind of have to have by 2. We have sustain. We have a little bit of pitter-patter damage that will get dangerous if we get long enough. So this is okay. It's okay against the mirror match. Only somebody who's going pretty hard into a... yeah, we're fine against this. Only somebody who's going pretty hard into a matchbox and is a little bit of a high roll is terribly dangerous for us. Otherwise, it's just the somebody who has a Ganjo and good things on the other side of it. So Ganjo, Jabalion plus some kind of sustain would have been, a threat here. But that wasn't terrible. That was pretty good. Okay. So, I don't know if there was any particular stream of thought that was interesting that I lost in all of that. So, if there is, or if there's any questions you have that you'd like an answer to, please pop into the chat, and that'll help me kind of get back on the rails here. But otherwise, the pig runs are very different every single time because there's a completely different thing that there's a completely different order of operations to give you power. Right now, our current power order of operations is buying and selling weapons. Our secondary power is now selling anything. So cash cannon is just about selling anything. If you were here last game, you know how that plays out. We got an obsidian enchant on cash cannon, and we got cash cannon over 6,000. I can't remember what we got it up to, but I'm pretty sure it was well over 6. I shouldn't be selling those yet. I'm sorry. It's not a terrible misplay or anything, but it's best to just hold on to things as long as possible and wait for the game to give you an opportunity to get value out of them. Like we picked up cash cannon. Had I sold anything before that, that's value we would have lost. If we show up to Barcoon and he wants to pay us a little bit of extra for our small items, we shouldn't begrudge him. That kind of stuff. So we're not going to throw away our very last dime doing this weapon cycling for Arms Dealer. Finn's Big Bite is huge. I'm sorry I say this. I know it's very corny. But what Einstein called the greatest invention of the 20th century is compound interest, and he wasn't wrong. Getting health early, and then getting health early allows it to keep compounding. Every time you hit your level, you don't get flat health, you get a percentage of health. So every bit of health you got early then gets multiplied every single time you get a percentage base increase, which is every time you level, and every time you visit Finn. And obviously, Finn's stuff is going to get scaled by every time we level. So early Finns are very, very powerful. We should be able to beat Scout Trooper here because we simply sustain well. The question is, can we beat Scout Trooper with Boomerang on our board to get a tiny bit more value? That's a tad greedy. I think this is the way we would do it if we wanted to try it. I think Bushel is just strong enough that we're fine here. He has in-combat damage scaling, but it's only when he slows. And he only has 2 items that slow, and one of them is going to run out of juice eventually. And we're going to keep getting more and more heals. So, he does a decent amount of damage. He's not nothing. But his damage actually does fall off. So if you're scaling and you're not dead by half the fight, especially if you're scaling sustain, then you win. Okay. All right, we got an Uzi. Uzi's the fastest weapon in the game, tied with the Tama something gun, the Tamamato gun or something. I forget what it's called, but it's a weapon that you can only get through beating the Moo encounter at the Thieves Guild, which is like really rare. Okay, we're hitting our upgrade any second now. We would like to save. We would like to utilize that upgrade on skill fishing to get ourselves a damage enchant so that we can start like getting more value out of flail. And we have some very real square pig opportunities in front of us. So I think we're going to go to crate. Silva has a big pool and it's kind of scattered all over the place. Did I just miss that? Please, God, tell me I did. Okay, God. I knew I checked, but I suddenly had the feeling that like my stash was full. I think it is atrocious that we can pick the upgrade hammer and not get it. They had solved this problem. All the loot would go on your board and you had to take it down, and they unsolved it and decided that no loot's going to auto go into your stash so that you could accidentally just not get your loot sometimes if you didn't check your stash first, which is just one more thing Pig has to always check before he does things. The reason this hero is fun if you like this kind of thing, and miserable if you don't, is because before buying, before selling, before going to a vendor, before starting a PvP fight, 7 times in a curio encounter, you have to move everything on your board, make sure your positioning is correct, and be fiddly as hell. It's just the way Pig is played well. The upgrade is half as valuable as the skill itself, but still obviously scaling. I really, if we get something like Atlatl Crook, we can't play it without weapon skills. And Pip is the easiest time. Obviously, if you get Ryakon, you now have the smallest pool where you have condensed and you're likely to get some weapon skills. But if you don't, and I've gone games without ever seeing him, Pip is the best time to find a weapon skill because 1/3 of the bronze skills are weapon damage. Yeah, and I'm not sure this is a... Yeah, it's a little bit of greed. I'm going to do it. I didn't get it. It kind of serves me right. Healthy Hoarder would give me a little bit of life for this fight. A not unreasonable amount of life for this fight. The heal is actually going to give us damage by virtue of making sure that weights keeps getting upgraded. But that was a whiff. It wasn't a misplay. It was taking a risk that didn't pan out. And like you can decide whether or not later, because your wins, you're not going to have a very consistent win rate if you never take risks that don't pan out. But how often and when is obviously the magic question, and it remains to be seen. Okay, thanks a bunch for joining.
Zils07 has joined the Goose Mafia.
I am never going to get tired of that sound, man. You guys are amazing. It is super fun to have you here. I think I'm like approaching 20 subscribers in my... It's now my second week as of today, but God, that's amazing. That's just incredible. You normally don't do the reroll here. Again, this would be greed, except Arms Dealer. We get a lot out of the weapons board, and we actually have plenty of money right now, right? We are not having money problems, so we're going to go ahead and do it. And getting that picture card, and it wasn't wrong but hurts. Yeah, it's not quite that. I think it's more of a 14 or the 16 where like the book says that you still hit. I'm sorry, this always gets to me. I'll talk about that in a second. Where the book says you still hit, but you really feel like you probably shouldn't. And then most of the time you bust, and then you really feel like you probably shouldn't. Um, I deeply dislike that Truffles upgrades itself in the shop. Coins do the same thing, so it's obviously operating on the same logic, but I really feel like loot items just should be devoid of that. You just never run into it very often. The only time it ever happens to you with coins is if you go to the Thieves Guild, a rare double mention in a couple of sentences, and you are grabbing all the loot from the vault, and then you have to like grab a coin and sell it and grab a coin and sell it all the way through the vault, or else if you grab two and they upgrade to gold or diamond, you lost value. That's a stupid weird mechanic. Yeah. So again, we're just still holding on to things in case we hit a vendor or somebody who's going to give us more value for selling them. There's just no reason to sell them yet. That's why they're sitting here. We do get a little bit of power. Honestly, actually, I think it is correct to start selling to get a little bit more damage on the board. Rocket Boots isn't good until it levels up. Yeah, Truffles is exactly the same at every level. It would be worth exactly one more, but that's not enough to care. Without any scaling on there, it doesn't matter. So you never upgrade your Truffles. We would love to buy a second Truffles right now, but the game would not like us to do that. So cool. That's Curio. I unironically grab Knee Brace all the time and put it on my board. Days 1, 2, and 3. Again, health stacking early is health stacking early. It's super valuable. We just don't have a board that makes any sense for it, so we're not going to do that. I guess I should have thought about how much does Uzi's going to last for 24 seconds. That's most of the fight. I think we should have closed out by then. So this is more of a vehicle, or I can have just the more guaranteed stable, slightly slower. I think this is better since we are running stabilization, since we're kind of building around doing the late wind fight. Is that better than this? How many casts would I need? 2. Yeah, no, it's better. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, I need to remove the thing that's on my screen that like can tell me how many people are watching right now. I keep looking at it, and I think it's just bad for casting. I think it's not doing me favors. It's just making me. But we just hit 11, and I don't think I've had 11 consecutive viewers. This is day 8, so welcome everybody. Thanks so much. This is freaking amazing. I think we're getting into a better casting window in terms of like when people are actually on and wanting to watch. I am on the west coast of the US, so it's 3 a.m. here. So this is like usually nearing the end of my stream. We're obviously going to finish this run, so we're going for a while. But I think that's part of it. But also, there's just a bunch of you that keep coming in and supporting. Super love it. Hopefully this is becoming informational. Hey so much, Nace. Thanks for joining in the chat. Alrighty, we are 3 consecutive wins. We only earned 2 of them. We're going to make a note. We're going to make a note of that first win and try to keep track of the fact that we would have lost it, because we want to... we're going to play the game we have, and if we have a board that would white knuckle grip close out by 10, we're not going to suddenly like make sure we have a day 13 board because of that. But just to make sure that you are, you're getting the feel of the build. You're getting like what the power levels were, how good it was. It probably should have had to carry you to day 12. You'll cash out early if you get to cash out early, but you don't want to get in the habit of thinking a 10-win run means you did everything right, because it almost never does. You did 30 things wrong this run. I've already done 30 things wrong with this run. And the best way to keep track of them is to just kind of not give yourself extra credit for the luck, and to consider every time you got unlucky, totally normal. Belt is very, very powerful for us, but it's just so early. It's pretty hard to put on when we just need damage to close out. That said, we're already life stacking, so Belt would give our opponents a pretty strong like kick in the pants in terms of like not being able to get through everything. It's hard. We need to have things catching value. We don't necessarily do yet. Okay, I could fit it at 8. No, I can't. I can't fit it at 8. What am I talking about? Unless I sell off Boomerang, which I don't think we're doing for that. Yeah, we definitely are not going for Belt. I was thinking I was going to get rid of these and all the small piece items. But actually, if Belt's on our board, we actually want the fast items with weights, and that's kind of our builds for a little while, unless we got something like a Crook or something to move into Square Pig, and then we could have it. It really sucks to pass, but honestly, I don't think I've ever grabbed a Belt on day 4. That's pretty early. 8 p.m. in Australia. Awesome. I'm right in the close of a finished dinner time. That's fantastic. And Europe also starts watching now. Yeah, my biggest audience is actually South Korea, and which is yeah. I know it's not great to keep like talking about how ridiculous and amazing it is, and blah blah blah. Like that gets old very, very fast. But I deeply thought I would be casting to nobody for month. That's the plan, and that was fine. I definitely did not think I would be casting to the other side of the world. And that's what Twitch is, right? That's not surprising, but it's just still cool. It's just still cool. I'm going to stop being a bumbly giddy, whatever the hell I am right now. Okay. Flame Juggler is unironically a tough fight if you do not have heals on your board. He has a bunch of fire and it just keeps falling off. And when you hit half health, he stacks another 10 fire damage on you. And so it doesn't keep falling off and you die. If you have a decent heal, so you never get to half health, or at least enough of a heal so that when you do, the fire's like already halved, then you win. It doesn't matter how much damage you do. Like, this fight is not about your damage. This fight is entirely about either staying above the half health or getting the fire damage down to like 15 before it stacks. So if you have a really strong weapons board, like, ask yourself how strong before you try that fight. If you have some good heal on your board, you're good. Also from Europe, cool. Welcome, Zelsa. Anatoly, I don't think I called you out by name. Thanks so much for being in the chat.
Oh, sure. I can help you.
All right, we're finally getting our first weapon skill. That is fantastic. If Crook opens itself, or Square Pig shows itself and decides it's the board that we're supposed to be running, you have to have it kind of at least 2 flat damage weapon skills, or a lot of other just good-looking components to get Atlatl all the way there, especially since they lowered the amount of value Atlatl gets from upgrading. It doesn't... That was a weird nerf. Well, that's pretty good. That's better than what we have here. So we're going to chuck these. I always want to kind of keep an eye out for where Ledger is. I want to make sure that what's catching is the best thing that I can have catching value. There's a world in which we want to put like Atlatl there. Catching value if we had Atlatl or Caltrops or whatever. If you get a skill called Boar Market, or if you are going to fish hard for a skill called Boar Market, which gives you your value as flat damage on your weapons. It's, you get it 1 in 4 rounds, but that skill completely changes the board states that are available to you. You can start doing property at level, and it's fun as hell. So it's just worth keeping an eye out for. I don't think we're weapon cycling. We want to start having... I mean, we'll do it now, but we wanted to see the other side of the board. We wanted to have enough money available to pick up Crook or to pick up Atlatl if it were there. I'm just wondering if Cash Cannon is correct, or if we should be doing like small weapons to pick up weights damage and to kind of work off of that. It's 101. That's a very many casts of weights. That's not correct. We're good. We're good where we are. And Ledger, yeah, we're gonna pop Ledger here. Cool. Am I willing to buy and sell? No, we want to keep the 8. We got one more vendor in front of us, or do we? We do. Kina has. I don't think we're going to Kina. She could have belts, but again, it's a little early. We don't have a lot of money for it. She can't have Phono. That's only at gold, and it's day 4. Gold doesn't show up until day 5, and we couldn't afford it anyway. She could have rewards card. That is a reasonable fish. She could have an upgrade to Bushel, and it would be the last time we get it upgraded, but we're probably not keeping Bushel on our board much longer, and that's it. And so I don't think those are as valuable as still stacking our health and converting that health or those free bars into free money and value. Yeah, the rewards card, if I knew it was there, would have been worth it. We are becoming pretty weak. This is not a day 4 board. We're going to need to get weights off. We're going to need to get Bushel off. We're going to need to pivot into an all damage. I would like to trade weights out for Ganjo, which is just a more direct, faster, better weapon scaler onto your 2 fast weapons. I obviously would like to see some square pig choices, or I'd really like to get a rewards card, and maybe plan for taking a loss or 2 to get into a board pivot into like a property state at some point. So that's what I'm thinking about, looking for right now. She doesn't do any damage, but my god, does she scale. We're going to lose. It totally depends on timing. I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to... but this seaweed is just outlandish. There we go. Yep. I don't even know why you put rifle on your board. You just lean in, hun. If this is what you're doing, this is what you're doing. You should be scaling seaweed and just decide to be a pacifist board. Because that could win some games as a pacifist board. Okay. I think we definitely go to Kev. We could get some a little bit more value. Let's do an XP check just to make sure we don't get an extra day. We probably definitely don't. We get 2, we get 3. The big fight would give us 3, 4, and then we'd have 2. And even if we got another fight on the other side, we would just get it. So if we got XP, we would have to get another fight in order to get the level up, which would be the day 7 level up, which would be an upgrade. We don't want it early. We don't have the things that we would want to upgrade yet. So we're going to go to Kev. Shielded seaweed is good always, man. Seaweed pops. Seaweed pops off. We want to reroll. We just need to start finding a better board state. This isn't it. Do I reroll at Kev? He doesn't have... Kev's like Feast or Famine. Like, his actual pool is not things that we like, but his enchanted stuff can pop off. But then you're, it's a pretty low chance. I think the answer is no. ATM. I have a whole spiel about why I don't value income as much as everybody else does, and I do value it. I definitely do value it. I don't love losing 4 here for the ATM. We could lose Uzi pretty easily, so we have enough. We have enough. Okay, we'll take it. But like Kriparian's spiel, which he said multiple times, is if you aren't always taking income, you're throwing. And yeah, not to get into my diatribe about it, but you know, when it comes to trusting me or Crip on Pig, trust Crip, right? I'm nobody. I'm not. I don't have my head that far up my ass that I don't think that I'm gonna be wrong in that particular comparison. We want to go to Midsworth to hopefully get a rewards card. That said, I have tried many times. We're gonna take a weapon at 2 to keep scaling our arms dealer. 2s will do. We won't do any more. I don't think we pay for the reroll just to fish for rewards card because that's all we really want from him. When in doubt, crap. Okay. Scoville's a no. Scoville is like you have 10 seconds to kill him and then the fight's over and you cry. This is deeply untuned fight for day 5. Just don't ever. Scoville is unhinged. But I've tried to go for the income over and over and over again, and I find the most time you have it available to you is day 1, day 2. And the opportunity cost of losing that money just means I keep not being able to buy a crucial item for my board over and over again. Also, like if I buy it on day 1 and I sell it, it's not until day 3 that I see even my money back, and that's pretending there's no opportunity cost. But like Pig spends money to make money, right? And so on the day in which somebody called me out for like, hey, I noticed that you skipped this thing and Crip says to always take it, we were recording that video. I'm actually going to make a little thing out of it. I think we want loot, or we're fishing for items, and we want loot just because another thing to catch would be massive. We didn't get it, but that's fine. I think maybe cash cannon. It turned out on day 3 I had missed. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. Turns out on day 3 I had missed an ATM. Doggy. It is late for a Rego Blade, but it starts at gold. And we don't know what the hell we're doing.
If it's not right for you, bring it back.
This is hard to get this off the ground. This late is deeply hard. But like this can't stay on our board today. We can't fight with those 2. We need to get into more of a face rush. So we need to make a little bit of money to be able to do that. This is where we're like, okay, we're either throwing for the pivot, and we're just going to be okay with that, or the pivot will work out earlier than we're hoping, and we're not throwing for the pivot. We kind of don't care which is which. The only way we're going to get there. The game thinks I'm wrong, and that I need to grab the bushel again. I could sell it and get it back on board. So we missed it on day 3. They let me know we just finished the fight on day 5, and we start day 5 with literally 0 money. We'd spent all our money, and so income hits. And they tell me on day 6, but on day 5 we have 0 money. Income hits. We go through day 6, and by the time they tell me on day 6 that I missed it on day 3, 1 day has gone by and we have 63 gold, right? And only 16 of that came from the income. Had we bought the ATM on day 3, we would only have 1 more gold at that point in time, right? And so it just, it is valuable. It does stack up, but like early money raises the debt, right? Like getting the money earlier scales. And so you do it when it doesn't put you out, but I just don't go out of my way for it. Okay, Orion is the best vendor in the game for us by fairly large margins. We have to think about this. Hold on. Okay, ledger's at 0, so we can just sell. We'll sell ATM. Orion's fantastic because he only has 10 items, and you get to see 6 of them. And one of them's Crook. and the other one's weights if you happen to be in that board, and one of them is hatchet, which you always get to buy and sell and get some value out of. So Orion is just like deeply powerful because he's how you slink yourself into Crook whenever you see him. PvE drops a 24 gold item past day 7. Yeah. So people say how to think about it is that 2 gold on day 1 is actually 20 gold. It's not. That 2 gold on day 1, or 2 income that you get on day 2 or whatever it is still paying back the money you spent on buying the damn thing for a little while. And then the extra 2 gold you get on day 5 forward or day 7 forward, you don't care about, right? Like, it's just nothing compared to everything else that happened. So that's my vibe. That's my feeling. I'm going to talk over this fight unless it is nail-biting. But Crip's better than me. I don't think he's wrong. I just think that he's doing 2 or 3 other things in his play that I'm not, and I'm not taking into account, that makes his vice make sense. But it doesn't make sense to me. And so I've tried it over and over again, and it just has never panned out. So I just have to start making the plays that make sense to me and make me better. The analogy I like to use, this is deeply silly. I understand this is deeply silly. But Bruce Lee says to be like water, right? He has this famous rant about the best style is no style, that you should be fluid and not be rigid, not get stuck in particular ways, that you need to be like water and not practice the same moves, not practice the same forms, not practice whatever. You need to be completely fluid. And as far as I know, as far as probably anyone knows, this is the best combat advice on earth. Like, this is how you become the best martial artist on earth. But this is not how you become a mediocre martial artist. You do not walk in to the dojo on day 1 and be like water. You will be a puddle on the floor, right? And you will perpetually be a puddle on the floor for the rest of your life. Like, that's not how you learn martial arts. That's not how you get good at martial arts. I am not telling Bruce Lee he's wrong, certainly not to his face. But Bruce Lee's not talking to me. That whole thing isn't for me. He doesn't necessarily have me in mind when he's explaining to us that that is the way to go. And I'd like to keep weapon cycling, but we're too broken. I probably shouldn't have done that reroll. We're just going to take the free thing here. So when Crip says, if you don't buy income, you're throwing, Crip's method of utilizing that income to turn into wins is currently unbeknownst to me. It's a level of fluidity and movement and whatever that my rigid lumbering ass just does not have access to. And so as much as that is the absolute correct advice, I'm sure, because again, I'm not going to argue with the man. As much as I'm sure that that is the correct play once you get to that level, it's just not at mine. Also, I can't articulate how it converts into value. And as long as we're there, whoa, that was almost a misplay. As long as we're there where I can't articulate why this is the correct path, then it's not. It's not until it becomes something that I can see the beginning all the way to the end of. Plays to make the games make good, to promote his friend's game. He's pivot maxing to make content, and in the context his decisions make more sense. I don't want to get into the Crip Raynad of it all. I don't think the way Crip plays has anything to do with making Raynad good. I think the way Crip plays has to do with, 1, being fun, and 2, making Crip look good. And he also is much more interested in doing interesting run after interesting run after interesting run. He's not trying to get the absolute most consistent lines down. He's not trying to be competitive. He's that's right. He's playing not the game. I actually think temporary boost is very powerful in a Crook build with rapid weapons, but we have to fish for Atlatl. We are too well set up for Atlatl to not kind of give ourselves every option. And then we also are getting weapon scaling, arms dealer value. We also wouldn't mind picking up pieces like caltrops, or picking up pieces for a Lion Cane pivot if that ever becomes. So we're going to focus on shopping. So, am I cycling at 4? I think I am. So he doesn't like playing the same thing over and over again. He finds that boring, etc. He's not trying to be competitive and move up the ranks. I'm not exactly trying to move up the ranks either, but I am trying to learn the game and get good. Okay, so all right, this needs a minute of conversation because you need to know why I'm making a blunder on purpose. Okay, 2 blunders on purpose because we got them both, right? We have 2 different ways we could do. I will very quickly finish off because we're pretty much done with that. Yeah, I think he's playing something much more entertaining. I'm just trying to learn how to get good, and then I'm very interested in operationalizing that information so I can teach it to other people so that they can learn how to get good. Like, that's what I'm excited about, what I'm interested in. Speaking shameless plug, I will have my first YouTube video up tomorrow that has a gym run where I did a completely over-explained. I was much better at staying on topic than I am now, and explained all the way through, including every decision point, whatever, and then I edited it to add in any information that I missed during the run with more stuff. And that's where I want to go. I want to have that kind of content where I'm teaching 0 to middle player, right? Getting us off the ground, teaching new players how to kind of get into the game and get into this character that I love. That's where I'm at versus where he's at. Teach me to get good. I suck. We're doing it, man. We're doing it slowly. Come here, babe. Okay. She's back. We have a lot of new people in, so we have to show off the goose. This is for whom I get my namesake. I am the goose's father. Hi, goose. Okay. Goose looks like she might type in the chat, so if you see me type something weird, that's what it is. Yeah, ranks really don't mean much. So, okay. Pig's Gym versus Square Pig. Pig's Gym has a couple more fights that it wins after day 12 than Square Pig does, but it loses to more fights between days 8 and 10. Essentially, it's slow. It's just very slow to get off the ground. It takes a while for the cast time to hit, and until it is so fast that like one cast gets your Atlatl to kill them, it loses to a lot of boards. Once it gets there, it can now punch above its weight class into stalling builds and crush them, whereas Square Pig starts becoming very weak to stalling boards. So Pig has a couple of more wins that you could get in the bank if you know you're going after 14. Had we lost 2 more games than we have right now, and I know for sure I'm going to 12 and likely going to 13, we would be doing a Pig's Gym pivot. The fact that we are on pace that day 12 is after having a couple of whiffs still in front of us, Square Pig's going to bring us all the way home. So we're going to stay here. Fixer's totally viable. Fixer is hard to put together. It's harder to put together. It's a little bit less consistent, but it is absolutely viable. It is not my favorite property build anymore. That's Goose, by the way, who just stepped on the spacebar and swapped to our stash. Okay. Hi, Goose. Our best property is Sunscraper. Because Fixer used to be really strong because you would get it to Diamond very early, and because you were a little strapped for money. We have so much more money now because of the starting money and because of the extra 3 free income that you don't have to pay anything for, that we don't need to have Fixer upgrade itself for free the way that we used to, etc. And that we used to have trouble always putting our value directly onto other properties and whatnot. Anyway, we now can't afford to leave this truffle scaling forever, and God willing, on the other side of this reroll, we're going to see a rewards card so that we can really start value scaling the truffles. And then I never have to sell this truffle until it goes onto a property, and I'm going to be fine income-wise. I started off with enough money that I could convert into money now that, like, that's fine. That used to not be true. I used to just occasionally have to drop my truffles onto my Fixer all the time so that I had enough money to keep my board going. Because of that, Fixer was better than any other property because I could get it on day one and I could cash out my value whenever I needed it, and I had valuable income to keep my board state from going to crap. Now, because I can keep the value locked in, the actually best board is the thing that does the most with value, and Subscraper takes the value that you have on Subscraper, adds it to everything else you have on your board, and then heals for 4 times the value of everything on your board. So Subscraper gets much more multiples of its own value in terms of what can convert to damage if you get the damage enchant than anything else. But more importantly, all of that value can be utilized otherwise as well. That value can go onto your Fixer if you have a Fixer on your board, and then that converts to shield, which you can spike a shield into somebody's face. But if you get something like Boar Market, which gives your left and rightmost weapons damage equal to their value, then you could have Subscraper, a couple of other expensive items on your board, and say Atlatl, and now it dumps the value onto it. Atlatl is your left and rightmost. It gets double the damage value out of the value, and now you have a standalone Atlatl to the moon in the middle of an otherwise pretty normal strong property board that could then be all defensive. So Subscraper lets you do all kinds of silly shenanigans, and just lets you have much more pivots than Fixer does. So Fixer is not bad, it's good, but the reason Fixer was good early was because we had to keep selling off our value stacking to cash out, and we don't anymore because we just start with enough money that we can keep stacking it. So I hope. Oh yeah, the spacebar shortcut. Honestly, Goose is the one who found it for me. I didn't know about it either. I mean, I knew about it now, but she found it some other day. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful to anybody. If you have any more questions, please throw them into the chat. I understand if you don't want to because you'd like me to shut up and get back to gameplay, but unfortunately I can't, because Pig's Dagger is one of those great examples of other things you could do with Subscraper, which is you grab yourself a Pig's Dagger, you start doing your buy-sell cycle, so you're upgrading, your cash cannon or your dog that you have on your board in your early game. Obviously, you can't get this till day 5, but still. But you can get the value of this weapon fairly high, because it's just by buying and selling. And unlike Dog, it's not Dog's damage, it's the value of Pig's Dagger. Now that is part of the heal, because it does 4 times the value of all of your items. The value of this item is part of the heal of Subscraper. So you could even just be stacking. You could stack a pawn shop and do this much earlier. So you get yourself a silver pawn shop. You can sell off crap to get pawn shop to the moon. Now you have a bunch of hit points, but you can then convert that hit points into the heal of Subscraper. And if you get the damage enchant on Subscraper, now you turn all of that into damage. So, yeah. I'm done talking about Subscraper, but that is our best property by a mile, and it's very, very, very flexible. Okay.
Moving up in the world.
Thanks so much.
Atlatl has joined the Goose Mafia.
The fact that I got a subscriber after wasting like 10 minutes of your time talking about income and then Subscraper means y'all are my people. This is a fairly weird board. I'm not in love with it. I think it wins some of the time. We're going to see how it does now. If you see Subscraper, buy Subscraper. No. Unfortunately, I would love that to be true. Subscraper's still our best value option, but that's only if you're value stacking. Right now, we're not even value stacking very hard. We just have Ledger, and we've been devoting our money towards our board state. Yeah, I think we lose here, unfortunately. That slow is actually wrecking us. It's not going to get off. Yeah, we lose. That's too bad. 1, 2, 3. No!
Fall like a
Damn. You have to be value stacking onto something like truffles. The problem with Subscraper, unfortunately, is you can't start doing value shenanigans until you get it, and you can't get it until you are at least day 5, right? If you get it day 5, though, cool. You could, but if you get it day 8, day 9, and you haven't been putting a lot of value on a truffle, then you don't have any value, so it doesn't matter that Subscreeper does that. So it still requires you to have the proper pieces. We're one shy, and hopefully Andy's going to give it to us, which is our rewards card. I'm going to keep calling that shot, Andy. One of these times I'm going to hit it. Hoy vey. No. So are we still buying and selling weapons for arms dealer for reasons? Yeah. We're going to have to stop and take a second to figure out what our pivot aim is here. It might be that we just try to get rich as hell. Damn, I just had popped business card too. This would have been good just before that. But it might be that we're just going to try to get rich as hell and send things like... I forgot we have Regal Blade. Of course we're buying and selling weapons. Send things like Cash Cannon to the moon. We had a run just before this where we had a triple bonk board. I had a Obsidian Cash Cannon over 6,000 damage. I had a Lion Cane over 11k damage, and I had the big double bonk weapon on the board. And it wasn't a good board because I was slow as hell, but I had some ungodly amount of hit points that people just couldn't seem to get through in time for me to just wreck their faces. And we had moved into that because everything else just became unavailable to us over and over again. And we were at only three wins. And we had to nothing but win all the way to day 14, and we did. It was a silly, silly run. But that kind of crap happens, so we'll be open to it. I don't love... I just want to be able to... I guess I could sell business card. I want to be able to buy on the other side of the reroll if we see our rewards card. I would really like to. Thank goodness. Well, poop. The double whammy. Aw, man. Aw, man. Okay, we got to sell the boomerang. We got to just full sell the boomerang. What is the least amount of sales that... So that is 19, 20, 21, and we need 20. So that is fine. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to buy the Cash Cannon before I do more of the sales, so I'm not actually going to get any... Okay, that's just what that is. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Buy and order the things you care about, by the way. And believe it or not, it's rewards card. We lost that fight. We're still okay. But if we don't have Atlatl, this board doesn't make a lot of sense. And so it's going to keep losing. It's going to lose. And so we do have to just embrace the fact that at some point, and at some point soon, we might have to get ourselves into a property pivot. So we are there. Do you ever sell boomerang there and buy the same tier? I mean, if I knew that I needed that money, then yes. No, you want boomerang higher tier. The one teeny tiny exception to that is if you have an item on your board that's bronze that you absolutely need to upgrade, and you want to keep your boomerang silver, so hopefully the drop pool is much easier to get the upgrade hammer at silver than it is to get an upgrade hammer at gold. But also then your upgrade hammer would automatically target that item. That'd be the only time. Otherwise, you just want the much more valuable loot that you get out of the golden boomerang. So anyway, if we can't lock down this board and get a little bit more power on it, we're going to be picking up one or two more losses, which again I said is fine, but it does mean we have to start keeping in mind a day 13 board. So we might need to do a property pivot, but we just got what we had to do for that to be possible. So unfortunately, we now have to start putting together a little bit of money again so that we can buy the damn property. But I think we're fine. Shock Trooper is scary. He's a clock. I think we have enough damage. I didn't do the math, but I think we have enough damage. Essentially, when Plasma Rifle goes off for the third time, the Fat Lady sinks. He has already done enough damage to you, even if you have a decent amount of damage on the board. Or no, the second time. Sorry, the second time. The second time it's over 1,000 damage, and he's already done. I think it's like 1,300. So if you are at 20, any crits also. So even if you're over 2,300, essentially at 18 seconds you die. So that fight is going to kill him in 18 seconds. Okay. By the way, 17 viewers. This is my 8th day of streaming, and 17 of you all are like, this idiot is worth listening to. This is incredible. This is so fun, you guys. Thank you so much. And gals. My gender-exclusive language. So I'm taking this. I have to take this. This is not a choice. This would be the dumbest thing in the world to re-roll and waste all of my money. But I would really like a weapon skill, because I think we still could grab Atlatl right now and not be home. I think it still would not be nuclear. That said, like, that's playing for the board I don't necessarily even get. That might not be in the cards. This is hard because we need to improve our board state, and shopping is the way we do it, but we have no money, and Pearl is where we go to get it. My rule is I never re-roll more than twice. And I might re-roll a third time if the second board has nothing of value to buy, but I'm mostly just value shopping here. I'm trying to get a large item, I'm trying to get a large gold item, I'm trying to get a medium or large enchanted item, etc., etc. This is just gold shopping. If it happens to end up with something cool and shiny that gets to make it on my board that I am happy with, awesome. But if you come here for that, then you are leaving here broke. Very, very quickly. I think we're going to cash out of the 8 cents. Fine. Nope, this is my very first auto battler. I was played a lot of card game stuff. I definitely have a lot of Hearthstone time under my belt. I played that for way too long. I played Marvel Snap for God knows why, for how long, because that game, talk about predatory models. I know this purchase model is pretty similar in architecture to that one. Do I put one more just because it's one more value on the property I'm going to buy? No, I don't. That's stupid. That's silly. Don't listen to me. But it plays out very differently in an auto battler than it does in a collectible card game where you get to build your deck. When we're still kind of fishing for the pay-to-win items, assuming they're pay-to-win items, assuming the power level is in that way, and blah, 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 whatever the conversation is, then at least, it's still only one in however many runs. And then hopefully the item isn't a standalone, and it still has to have a board, and it still has to have some synergies. And so it's one in however many fewer runs. And so it's very less oppressive than you're putting together a deck, and there's a couple of deck archetypes like in Marvel Snap. And you face the mirror, which you do all the time because there's usually only 3 or 4 deck archetypes that are really killing it. And then you just suddenly know you're going to lose because they have 2 cards that you don't have to make the perfect version of the thing. Over and over and over again. That game was toxic and awful. So, in case anybody cares, which you shouldn't, but in case anybody cares, I do have a video up on my YouTube channel, and that's at TheGooseFathr, spelled the same way. I unfortunately, Nightbot had the exclamation point commands in here. Let me just try YouTube. Nope, it's not working. But we had to turn off Nightbot because it went rogue and it just started muting people in the chat. It was kind of funny, but also deeply tragic. We got it. Nice. So I can actually go and copy paste that into the chat if anybody cares. But on my YouTube channel, my only video on there right now is me giving my opinions on the monetization structure and also like what I really think would be a better one for the game. I understand that cosmetics isn't going to fund this thing. I would really like to pretend that I think they would, but how many cosmetics are you really going to buy for a game that nobody else gets to see, right? Like, you don't get to... somebody out there is seeing your ghost, but you don't get to see somebody see you, and that's usually what people spend cosmetics on. So it's a decent argument to say that that's never going to get it off the ground. But that doesn't mean that this was anywhere close to the right option. Okay, I will... That was bad play, John. I should have sold Piggy 2 turns ago. That was going to change monetization. We all got very dramatic about it. We're still very dramatic about it. Okay, we have some money. We could get a little bit more value, but what would that matter if we don't get the property? So anyone who can sell large items, oh boy. Let me stop that sentence right there. I don't think this is good. Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, that would need Ganjo. Yeah, we just never got the weapon skills. That's why I was debating rerolling Shield Bash, even though it was bad to reroll Shield Bash. So this doesn't even go on a board right now. We'll hold it just in case that makes sense in a minute. I could grab Ganjo, but let me tell you my rule about Atlatl, because this might be instructive if anybody cares. Atlatl is strong, and you should expect to win if you meet these conditions. On day 6, you can get Atlatl with your in-game scaling, so using your Ganjo and your weights or your Shadow Cloak or whatever combo therein you are using. 2 nuclear to 180 damage within 10 seconds. 12 if you're doing Pig's Gym, because usually you swing way above, right? So 12 seconds, which is 2 casts of Pig's Gym if you're doing Pig's Gym. By day 6, it needs to be able to get to 180 in 10 seconds or it's a bad board. By day 7, it needs to do it within 5 seconds, 6 seconds if you're doing Pig's Gym, or it's a bad board. By day 8, it has to stand alone. Atlatl has to be swinging for 180 at the start of the fight for it to be a good board. So if you don't... If that doesn't work out, if that's not where you are, don't put it on your board. Like, you need to be doing something else with your board. This is not exactly wildly successful, but honestly, we're going to get more swings out of Flail than we're going to get out of that Atlatl. So Flail stays, right, until I can figure out how to damage scale it up. We'll hold on to it. That might end up being the play. We don't have to desperately cling to, day 13 yet, but it's not going on the board yet. It's too late for you, Jim. I could have made that choice. I didn't. Doesn't let me flex my super rare Crook. It's not a very rare Crook. Yeah. And then we're in this situation where we could start investing and getting Atlatl 5 flat frickin' damage at a time. That might be a 10 damage one, right? And so by day 11 or 12, after we've thrown 2 or 3 fights, it's good. Or do we just concede? We understand we are a property build at some point, and we start doing the property pivot. So we're going to do Fixer. We're going to get rid of Atlatl. That's not going to happen. Now that I have properties to put it on, I didn't know I was going to get pull. So feels like a little bit of a misplay to have bought it. But I need too many stars to align. Now, if I got Crook upgraded, which I don't do, right? Hold on. Okay, real quick, I need to pull up my cheat sheet. This is my homebrewed game guide thingy. Here's the doc if anybody cares. You shouldn't care. Here are all the encounters and like what you get every day, and if there's a secret encounter and what you need to get the secret encounter, and then my personal ratings on whether or not they're good for pig and when you should go to them. The same thing for monsters and like what special things you need to know about any particular fights, like if it's lich, don't. And then here's the what you get at level ups, because I keep forgetting. So yeah, day 9 is the crap one. It's nothing. Level 9 is nothing. So I'm not going to get a upgrade automatically on Crook until day 13, or until level 13, and that is long, long past the pale. So we're going to get rid of Atlatl. We're probably not going to be a fixer build, but we are going to buy a big property if we aren't a fixer build, and then fixer upgrades itself, and we made a little bit of money and it was able to catch, so we're doing that. But it gives us a chance sticking with me and for trying to click on random links that I posted in the chat. You all are too trusting. Everybody's clicking on links I posted in the chat. Does this look like the face of a man you should trust? I think you people need to reevaluate your life choices. Thanks. Okay. At gold, we would start taking the item because it sells for a decent amount of money. But at silver, we're definitely getting more out of that. Most of the time, we would fish for another truffle to be on the other side of this, but we at least have a property to catch, so we're fine. Dragon is a clock, and I think it's a 12-second clock.
Moving up in the world.
Thanks so much for joining, man.
has joined the Goose Mafia.
I'm going to throw out this computer anyway. That's such a cool, like, the universe will tell me when it's time. Okay. Yes or no in the chat if you think we beat Dragon. I think the answer is no. But I am going to How Bazaar. Do I get to see his hit points in How Bazaar? Day 8 Dragon. 3675. The answer is a hard no. Because we have to kill him in 12 seconds. So Dragon has, I think it's 6 or it's 8-second cast time. I just pulled up How Bazaar and I didn't look. I'm just wild guessing instead of just like clicking on the items and looking like. Okay, so Dragonheart goes off at 11, and so then it's at the second swing of Fireclaw, which is 14 seconds into the fight, when one of the Fireclaws has like 200 damage on it. So you have 14 seconds to kill this monster. Let me pull up calculator. I'm not going to drag it onto my screen because last time I did that, somehow I lost the display, which is deeply tragic. So all of these are going to get one go. Or 2 goes in 14 seconds. That one only gets 1, right? So we could actually just do the math here. 691 times 2 plus 1050 plus, what did we get? 6 casts of the 109. So, yeah. My math skills are fantastic. 654... plus Arjabale. Hold on, sorry. I completely screwed that up. This is, yeah, I'm totally, YOLO. Alright. He made the right argument. If this is how we lose the run, it'll be funny. Yeah, this is how we lose the run. That is not enough for it to die until the bow goes off a second time. So that claw is going to swipe us, and we do have a couple of seconds. Aha! So my calcs were correct that claw did hit our face with the death blow at exactly the time I thought it did. But the fire damage still takes time. So that was the deeply safe play that we chose to do. Clearly just making very strong executive decisions here. We could be property value adding by doing gumballs. Kina doesn't have a very good chance. She has a very, very, very low chance because she seems to be artificially weighted towards small and medium also of having Subscraper, which is like the big thing that we want from her. Pickups like Belt and whatnot wouldn't be terrible, but we don't want to invest in this board. So what we want to do right now is spend money to upgrade Fixer, just in case Fixer ends up being the pivot. We want to grab a Spike Shield in case Fixer ends up being the pivot. But we want to be value stacking as much as possible, and the way that we do that right now is by popping Ledger as many times as we can. So we can, as long as we're not going to the vendor right now, move rewards card out of the way. We go here. And this gives us double duty. We're spending 10 gold, which is going towards our Fixer upgrade. It's not a lot, but it's something. And then we are getting a full Ledger cycle, and we were already at 9, so we'll get one more in a second here. So we're getting a mean-sized Truffles. 32 is not a bad start for when we grab whatever the hell else we want to put that on. So that's getting pretty good. We're about to pop this again, put 5 more on either side. So that's not bad. Obviously, we're not anywhere near the property pivot because that's got to be diamond. We need a couple other pieces. We probably need ourselves a balcony, etc., etc. The problem with doing a property pivot that you just have to accept is that you have to throw a day, at least. You just have to give up a day. And the reason that is because we can't get rid of our value scalers. They're what brings our property pivot into day 12, 13, etc. So this is the stash space that is permanently allocated towards that endeavor. And then we need a balcony before we'd be willing to do it, or at least a Subscraper. And then you'll notice my stash is completely full and I can't do anything else. So at that exact moment, all of it has to go onto my board. The moment I get either the Subscraper or the whatever, I have until the next thing that I really need to buy and sell until it all has to go on my board. My board has to go away. And usually I don't have all of the pieces because it all has to go on my board before I do. So I have to have at least one day where I'm out there deep sea fishing for the right items for that build to win a fight, where I gave up on my board for it. That's just part of the pivot. You don't try to white knuckle grip your way into a perfect pivot. You decide you're going to throw a day. That's just very important to know that has to happen. We're about to hit the most important XP threshold, so we don't actually have to do the XP risk here, and we really want to start getting our upgrade stuff put together. We do not have stash space for that to make any kind of sense to us. We're going to reroll. Yeah, that's whiff. Okay. Where are we at? 30. Okay. So then the real question, which is not much of a question, is we have to enchant something here, right? Something here is getting enchanted. And so it can be Cash Cannon, which I will do this if Obsidian is the visible option, because we did that last time and it was hilarious and we crushed with it. And it would actually pick up my next day fight and probably squeeze this board into cashing out on day 11. But anything else, it's probably going to be our property because that's, yeah. So, okay. We've talked it out. We've committed. Can it be frozen, slowed, or destroyed? If we had Lion Cane on the board, that would then make this board able to actually weather until day 13. The big reason why like Lion Cane doesn't keep winning is because it gets locked out of further wins by frozen and slow.
What's your favorite color? Mine is sadness.
Well, that was deeply mid. All right. So this is not the day we're sacrificing for. We just know that day is near. But this is probably still a loss. It would be very... Wait. What the hell is that hit point? What? Does the game have anti-chocolate bars and I don't know about it?
Says at the bar. Another round.
Okay. I know we're scaling. I know we're above average. That's not day 8 normal, right? It's not just me. Open beta, I guess. That's the best answer. The learning curve of this game. I'm not laughing at anybody. The learning curve of this game is the dumbest thing in the world. It is obscenely difficult. Okay, I think we're still cycling weapons, and I think we're doing it at 8 now. Like, we're gonna see if we can slowly nudge this board in today. Whatever the hell, right? Do we want max health or do we want to weapon cycle on our board? So the answer is actually Curio. I think Finn's obviously huge and he's very important. And we have a lot of max health, and honestly, that might give us one more swing. I'm rethinking this. That might give us one more swing. The reason I normally would stop going to Finn is because Finn doesn't matter on a property board. It really doesn't matter on a fixer sub. Because as soon as fixer and sub go off, our hit points are irrelevant. And if they can freeze or otherwise circumvent those two, then our hit points are relevant. Like, your total hit point pool just kind of doesn't matter on a property build. You care so much more about like the structure of your property build. So if that's the pivot we're going into, but this might help us steal a day because we are so far ahead of everybody. So getting another 10% is something. Versus we can maybe eke out another like 100 damage on Regal here and probably pop Truffles once again. And Fixer. I think that's better. Bar of Gold's great. It's free. It's free cycling. It's just like buying yourself a briefcase or something like that. You buy it, you sell it. It only costs you one. That's great. This is the one we're most likely to keep. So we're going to stack our weapons stuff on there. So we will start with just the very obvious weapons. And then we will ask ourselves if we're going to buy the smalls or not. We do have some money still. We, again, are going to sell off our whole board when we see subscrapers, so we don't have to, like, have a ton of money. We'll do shield just because, you know, that might have been a total misplay. Oh my gosh, that was a misplay. I just didn't get punished for it. One thing that's very hard to get used to that's fiddly as hell is you can never sell anything without your stuff next to ledger. So if you want to do a curio, pull your thing down, put value on it, you have to pull down all your stuff, your ledger, your whatever. So that was a misplay. Okay. Yeah, we'll get these two for sure.
Trash is tragedy. Reuse everything.
Okay. And then it's not inconceivable that the right play is to just dump our truffles on our fixer and go. We don't know if we're going to see subscriber or not. So to finish what I was saying, so what do I want to do here? There are three choices. There are three wolves inside of you. Bloodreef Captain has heavy firepower, which is one of the best weapon skills in the game. But if you're going for a high roll, Elite Duelist would turn all of our weapons into lifesteal weapons, and we just win. So this is a, like, congratulations, you win, or you got a weapon, or one more XP. We're at the point that XP stops mattering nearly as much. So we're gonna fish for the high roll. This could be a cash out. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. Also, we happen to have strength at silver, so at least that's an upgrade if we get it. The learning curve of this game is dumb. It's and how do you even learn it? Because it's like you never get to do the same thing over and over again. So the reason why you're watching me do this very particular kind of build that I'm doing, also, if you want to do Subscraper, Herma is actually the best vendor. She has the highest probability of having
Got
it.
any new playlists for me?
Her first, and then Pull second. Nope.
I hate to charge so much, but I'm saving for my next tattoo.
Obsidian Atlatl, right? That's not unreasonable. Is there a world in which we just go chocolate bars for value? I don't think so. I think we want.
My battle days are over.
So the reason you're watching me do this is because I just decided I wasn't going to get any good at this game whatsoever. If I kept playing all three heroes, I had to just pick one and had to play them over and over and over again until I became comfortable with it. Unfortunately, we don't get to do the best cycler, but that's fine. We will just move on. And so I just decided, like, all right, which one do I like the most? I like Pig. All right, we're going to play Pig. I don't think Ryokon's going to save us. He might get us one more fight, but we need 3 more fights. So we're going to start doing the property items. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Like, I could unironically get Atlatl to nuclear right now. We don't have Atlatl. But that is a weird question. Reinforced steel doesn't really do anything. If your property value is enough, you don't need in combat scaling. If it's not enough, the 15 ain't gonna save you. I think we're grabbing this just to give ourselves flexibility. Just if what comes next before Subscraper is Atlatl, and we just pivot back into that. I don't like it. I don't like our path at all. But you still need to keep your options as open as possible. So I decided to just pick a hero. I liked Pig. We went with Pig. And then I decided that I was going to play one build 100 times. And it was probably like 30. But it was Square Pig. And I just played Square Pig. And I just forced every build to try to be Square Pig. And of course, every build was not wanting to be Square Pig. Not even close. That was terrible. I lost all the time. That was fine. What I did learn very, very quickly is what I needed for Square Pig to actually work. Oh, we lose. Gosh, that was really close. Yeah, she just got us in the mid there. It's probably closer than it should have been. That was lucky. Oh, I totally picked the hardest hero, but he's fun. So we are where we are. Yeah, it wasn't a smart choice, but it was a fun choice. You still had to, it's a game. I still have to, decide it's fun. I can't any of that. Why? Ow. Bueller. I probably shouldn't buy here. I could get some... Yeah, I should probably stop shopping and cycling. Because I need to find... Oof. Stained glass is not... Stained glass is a good way to keep putting value on your property, and it's but it's not an actual in-combat item for the most part. It doesn't get you anywhere near there. We can't sack our board into stained glass. We're in deep danger. Oh, okay, here we are, Property Baron. Yep, Property Baron. That's the dream, but honestly... that can go on our board for a little while too, if we had to. So I just picked myself a hero, and then I started playing Square Pig over and over and over again, losing all the time. But shut up. Cool. I think we have to go to Barcoon and try to get property pieces still. We have to do the board transition everything we could do to get into that board today, if possible. Ganja is not unreasonable as part of that board. We do have to spend a certain amount of money, but we're broken. That's not the thing we're spending on. Sorry, that was a silly pipe dream for a second there.
Am I even a master magician?
I don't think we're gonna get into this today, boys. So what we can do, sorry. So anyway, then you very much learn like, oh, I didn't get the weapon skills, so Atlatl's not going nuclear. I guess I lose this one. Oh, I didn't get this, so this isn't getting good. I guess I lose this one. And you start realizing like, oh, okay, I know this build now. Like, oh, yeah. I know when this build should not be. I know when I'm making a deep mistake trying to make this happen now. Okay, cool. I know the build. And then it was like, all right, what's next? What's the next build? And I did that over and over and over again. Okay, now we go gold items, hope it's worth a lot of money. Or a property, a big property. It's not a big property. I really hate to do this, but it is not necessarily wrong to dump our truffles on our fixer. Decide fixer's the way. It sucks because fixer doesn't have a damage enchant. If it did, it would just be a no-brainer. But now we still have to find a spike shield or something to convert this into not terrible. But that would give us 60 flat damage across a lot of hits. It just... So even winning this fight, we're still going to day 12. I still probably have a lost day ahead of me if I do the pivot. And so I don't like fixer, which is not my best option being my carry, but it does have a chance to be one less fight. There's still entirely the possibility that the next thing I see is spiky shield and or balcony, and that's just the build anyway. It's kind of hard not to take the flat, so we took the flat.
You do see these tufts.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm almost up to 20 people. You people make questionable life choices. I love it. I don't think we win in this, Bob. How fast is his scaling? Faster than mine. Yep, that's that. We lost that. That 60 damage meant nothing. You had to try, right? Yeah, the freeze on the one thing I was like, maybe. Jesus. Okay. You can't say that he's not having a good time, right? You can't say that he's taking a build out of a can. So, here we are. Okay, the upside of losing here is that we get to re-enchant our property. Hopefully. That's not the one we want, but honestly, it's better than what we have. But we really deeply have to fish.
Your things are so dull.
The poison is number 1, fire is number 2. Just always good to think about what it is you want, just so you know your build. Poison is number 1, fire is number 2, golden is number 3, shield is number 4, freeze is number 5, and then everything after that is deeply tragic. Deeply tragic. Okay, well, I don't think we make it past this day. We have a chance, but it's pretty low. The only other real chance, which is silly would be like we get Atlatl and we get caltrops, and then we sell off all this, and we hold all that cash in the bank, and that gets both of them to the moon. And even then we have to win a couple consecutive. So that's okay. This run was never really coming together. We never really got what we needed when we needed it, and we did pretty good by it. I think we got pretty far, considering we're pretty happy with it.
In and out, here and there, so rushed, so confused.
We also lost to fun stuff. Like, that's important. Like, when you lost to Fixer in the Fixer meta, there's no way to be happy about that, right? You were salty. You salted the earth with your tears. When you lose to Dooley with the Crush Claw and the Silk and the Robe, I don't even know the name of it. Nobody plays that thing. Like, you gotta enjoy that. So, this is my 8th day of streaming, and we have 20 of you in here, which is outlandish. Again, life choices. Don't understand. But super happy to have you here, and would love, if y'all want to pipe off in the chat, if there's anything specific you want to learn, any specific builds you want me to talk about as we are floundering this thing into its final days. Unfortunately, I won't be on much longer. My usual sign-off is, honestly, maybe I will. My usual sign-off is 2 hours ago. But at this point, we're in one of those just play until you start work in the morning days. He clicked yellow. Yes, he did. That man had a plan. So if you have any questions in the chat, etc., please pop in. JJ has a very, very, very slim chance of having a larger property. Quixel has a slightly larger chance.
Moving up in the world.
Thanks so much, man.
Synth7 has joined the Goose Mafia.
Welcome to the crew. Okay. We need Spiked Shield. We need Balcony. We would like Fixer. Spiked Shield, Balcony, Fixer in that order. She has a fractionally better chance of Spiked Shield and Balcony in her pool because he has the bigger properties. So I think it's Quixel. Well, I love that half-hearted decision of mediocrity, of like non-committalness, of defeat, of being like, I still don't know if I'm gonna end up with this Fixer board, was what popped Fixer. The game has a sense of comedic timing. That makes Dragon Tooth necessary if I want to scale my Caltrops. I'm not doing that. Don't get me wrong. If we get none of the pieces, we will do that. There we go. We have to get Spike Shield to convert this to actual damage. And without it, we will have to run this board, so that's the only reason we're doing that. But gosh. Okay. So we got Balcony. It is actually correct, technically, if we're going to stock something, to be stocking value on Balcony, because if we do get Subscraper, which is still a pretty big F at this point, then Balcony contributes towards Subscraper's total value. But we would have to get... We're actually probably doing Pearl because we're fishing and Andy has nothing we want. We would have to get an enchanted Subscraper at this point. We're not going to blow too much money because money is damaged right now, and looks like Caltrops is going to be our carry today. I shouldn't have got Dragon Tooth, actually. I didn't think that through. I didn't know I was getting Balcony, but I still didn't fully think that through. That was probably a mistake. For those of you following along at home, Arms Dealer, while not cycling very well, because you can see our Regal never really popped off, our Arms Dealer uh, got pretty far in this game. That's pretty good. Um, we're at 5,000 with no belt. That's not bad at day 11. This is so weird. This is so weird to like keep investing in a board that you like are deeply trying to pivot out of, but that's correct. And now, if we do hit Atlatl, we have a board that wins 50% of fights. Caltrops currently wins like 30% of fights. Most of Vanessa's aren't those, unfortunately, but that's where we are. This is very likely the end of this run, which is fine.
Young for a captain, but I've seen my share of storms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our blast usually just takes their lunch money. Let's see. No, they have no lifesteal. Oh yeah, they just kill themselves.
Bring her back.
Well,
I've got another salvo.
that Caltrops purchase was not a mistake. So, yay for that. There are ways in which we could easily turn... we could make it 2 more days in this. So, this is where we're screwed. Yeah, this is where we're just in such a weird state, because this is what I don't like to do. I like to pick a day a long time ago where we hard throw, clear our board, put crap on, and just like squeeze ourselves in, throw a day or two, and now we're in a state that can just keep winning. It is incorrect to try to keep winning while you are doing a pivot into a property that, like, whatever. But this board never got too bad, and we have no way to convert this to damage, so we just had to. So now we could go to Herma and try to get our Subscraper, which gives tons more value to our very, very valuable Fixer at 127 that's about to be doubled by Balcony. That's a really, really strong Fixer. And then we get to put Subscraper on the other side of that deed, and we get to start scaling its value. And we're going to get, you know, these things definitely in the win on day 14, 15 range. But we can't hold on to Subscraper and then not be able to convert any of that into damage because we don't have Spike Shield. So we would have to chuck our board. But we can't chuck our board because we can't lose a day anymore. So it's actually now incorrect for us to go to Herma. We have to find Spike Shield before we can make any more of the pivot. That is weird, weird logic. Do you just play a huge shield plus Caltrop cash deposit? No. I mean, you can, but you're just banking on... no, for a couple of reasons. Because half of Caltrop's damage is coming from Crook. We would not get nearly enough gold to make up for the Crook value that's being lost here. So Caltrops at 110 is deeply mid. That's not winning any fights, right? So that's one really strong reason. The other reason is because Caltrops wins about a third of fights. It doesn't win the others, and it never will. Like it will never beat a square pig on its own. Square pig is going to do too much damage to you, not beat itself to death. It won't beat any pig board. It won't beat a property board. It won't beat any of that. It'll beat Dooley. It'll always beat Dooley, and it'll lose to 2/3 of Vanessa's boards. And so even if you have like amazing sustain, you just keep scaling whatever to the moon, you're not hurting anybody, and most people are going to puncture through that shield eventually. So it's just committing to win half of the fights, and Caltrops alone is committing to win, you know, a third of them, and we have enough damage to pick up at least another, you know, whatever percentage is going to get us 13 point.
That money's not
Yeah.
gonna earn itself.
So no. Okay, Kina can't have Spike Shield, and Spike Shield is all I want in life, so we're just going to do free flat damage, and we're going to go... We can't go back to the property vendor. We have fucking Master Salesman, for God's sakes. We have the nuts. We just need to convert it. Yeah, he would give us Subscraper. We couldn't fit it on our board. There's a world in which we could sell Ledger and hold sub. I think that's correct, actually. We would do that. But then we have no space, but that's fine. I think we do that. Where are we at XP wise? We are going to get to 14, maybe? Only if we take the diamond fight. 1, 2, 3. No, we'll get it there either way. We're going property. Yeah. Yeah, it's just now where you're thinking good, where you're actually thinking good, where that's not a bad idea, especially yeah. Um, if it didn't absolutely make our damage fall off. God, I hate doing this so much. Okay. You know, it's just insult to injury here. It's just like deeply, deeply, deeply hurtful. Is that this is the ninth? This is the 10th sale. That Ledger's the 10th sale. Screw you, Ledger. Nobody likes you, Ledger. Okay. We could get rid of rewards card and commit to Ledger scaling later. But then we don't even have space to put anything else. And then rewards card is like much, much more consistent. I mean, that's not impossible. Because it would. The only reason I'm considering that. No, I'm not considering that because I was going to say because I could get 5 value immediately right now onto Subscraper and I might be able to use it this fight. But that's not true because I have to sell rewards card before I can fit Subscraper in my gosh darn stash. Goodbye, Ledger. We shall miss you. Okay. We have 2 very good boards. Both missing
Nothing
1 crucial
tiny,
piece.
Nothing huge. All about moderation.
Okay.
Oh, delivery's free. I like the exercise.
And we're still just, come on, man. Just give me one. Just give me one or the other. One or the other. Okay. What is 10%? Is that only 500 damage right now? That's nothing. Okay, that's an easy pass. That's an easy pass. Without belt, without diamond, that's an easy pass. We're fine. We're just going to pretend middle didn't show that to us at all. Okay, well, and then, you know, this is deeply tragic too, right? Like, how great would it be to slap an upgrade on Subscraper, immediately get another 12 value on it, then the crit chance, like, is actually useful. But Isla has a chance of what is this run? What is this run? What have I done to you? Okay. It's this now. That was an awful lot of build up to go square pig, y'all. That was an awful lot of build up. But this means it's winning. Because we're going to have a pretty broken... I mean, we still have a pretty good chance of losing. But we have to win today or we lose. And we can't play the other board. But if we buy this now, we get to sell that. And that's kind of what's happening. So, okay. We're just changing our mind over and over and over again. We tried very hard to commit so many times. The game didn't want us to. I think we still do not buy Lion King. We would want it for the next fight, but we would still have to get... let's see. We're talking, it's about 1,000. It's slightly more damage than Regal Blade. Um, Regal has a little bit of CDR, slightly more damage, but it has more CDR, so I don't think it's better. It means a better tomorrow, because once I level up, it's definitely better. And then it gives me the chance to, like, but I only have 1 day to get that chance. We have to win 2 back to back. And money is damage. So that's the reason why it's a no. Okay, so that goes into the trash heap. That goes into the trash heap. Yeah. All right, y'all. This has been the deeply weirdest run of my life. And last run, we had triple bonk. We had 3 weapons that were all doing more than 4,000 damage each. So we had an 11,000 line cannon, a 6,000 cash cannon, and then a big bonk at like 5,000 or 6,000. Unironically, on a square pig board, Ryokon is better than Adira. Adira's pool is too many items. The only things that they have that Ryokon doesn't that we would even want, and it's not superior to some of Ryokon's, is cooldown reduction, or your leftmost weapon gets double damage when you get to half health, which is still kind of a losing proposition, and rightmost freezes. So those are the only... That's it. That's the only ones. But that's in a pool of like 80, whereas Ryokon crit chance would be fine, strength is not. A 20% crit chance is fine. It's probably good enough here. That's probably what we want. Honestly, with as much flat as we have, crit chance is actually better than trying to get a little more flat. So yeah, we're going to take heavy honed arsenal.
Moving up in the world.
Welcome, man.
Walter Coolest has joined the Goose Mafia.
Thanks so much for joining. Really glad to have you here. Yeah, Obsidian Cash Cannon really early. That's what we got on that board that I just talked about. Okay, so this is a fight. I think we even get rid of rewards card. It's going to get a total of like 8 gold tomorrow, which isn't enough to justify not having that much flat on our board. And then we just double check to make sure, because we haven't really been investing in this board the whole time, that we aren't positioning based. We aren't. Everything can be everywhere it is. All right. We're not happy to see Pig here, because we kind of can't beat a property board. It's day 12. Matchbox should beat itself to death unless he has shenanigans. I have not yet clocked. He does not. Okay. Alright, one more day. One more day. One more day. Unfortunately, this seems like a run that was plagued by indecision, but it was not. It was just a run that was plagued by missing pieces. And this nonsense kept happening. When we got Atlatl earlier, it did not make any sense. We didn't have a Crook upgrade in sight for like 5 more levels, and we had no flat damage skills on the board whatsoever. And so we passed it because Atlatl was never going to get to nuclear inside of the time that we needed to, whatever. And then we just never got the other pieces. So it's been a deeply weird... Yeah, it's too late for that to matter. Yeah, arms dealer weapon cycling doesn't matter. We actually want to make money. Actually, it was a mistake to go to her. I think I need to suddenly change my mental. There's likely no board items that are going to help us too much. We don't want to lose any money because money is damage. We could get a tiny bit of flat on stuff, but yeah, money is damage. So we're either going to be getting free items or doing a temporary boost is the rest of the day. We're just make money. Who has the biggest items? I think he has... Yeah, he has a couple of large diamonds. So we're just... And the skill is fire. The skill is amazing. Not that skill. The other skill. The other skill. I should have. My bad. I wasn't specific. You're right. Yeah, we're definitely just gonna take the free thing. Okay, health makes some sense, but we are a face rush board. We don't even have belts, so we're not doing that. So we're gonna do gold tier item because it'll sell for the most money. It's a briefcase, that's great because it sells for even more. I have said it once, I will say it 10,000 times. Nufu is a trap. Nufu is deeply expensive, overpriced. Most of the times you get her when you don't have 290 gold in the bank. Like silver skills are at like 20 and gold at 30. The reroll's 6, and then we have the worst skills in the game in general, and then the most bloated skill pool, and that all that couples to you going to Nufu, spending 8 for a reroll or 6 or whatever it is, and then getting nothing and leaving sad. So you go to Nufu if you are in dire straits and you're fishing to be saved out of your hole, or if everything else sucks and you can afford to just see a board that you check out of. But here it is. This is the end of the run. We have Master Salesman. We got Master Salesman for our property build that never was. We have cash deposits. We have Shield Bash. We have 20% crit chance from Honed Arsenal. We got Strength. We got Arms Dealer, which we used to pretty good effect. That's not bad. Hit points with nothing else on our board. And we're going to see what kind of crazy this is. Let's go. She has more hit points than us. That does not bode well for us. Oh gosh, and she's a single weapon that will kill us in one cast. So she has to die, and she died. Victory is ours. Yeah, why was her haste activator so slow? She got one charge mechanic off, and her haste activator must have just never landed on Radiant. I feel like she should have gotten a pop off by then. Yeah, that is definitely, that would have been a one shot, one kill. That would have been the end of us pretty fast. And all of our deep investment in Caltrops was not for this board. Oh, one shot, one kill is why it's so slow. Oh, I thought you were just talking about like, yep, they're set up for one shot, one kill. Oh, yeah. That skill lost them this fight. Would they have killed us if they weren't triple damage? No. Even if they crit, they wouldn't have killed us. So yeah, trade-offs. Their boards that beat with that. We aren't one of them. All right, we did it, y'all. That was a pretty fun. Is that the word? Stressful, deeply complicated, 10-win run. Hopefully instructive. As to never let yourself get into that particular mess. I don't know. I don't know. We got to explain the logic for when you make a pivot quite a bit. We didn't get to demonstrate when you make the pivot at all. So here we are. That was fun.